ourselves all ready for a thing. Okay, so I've got one word for you, all, and it is roar. What do I mean by roar?
Oh, restoration rights.
Yay! Has been completed.
Hmm.
Anybody would think we'd practice this. And we did. We did the deeds and practiced it, which is what we said we would do. So you now have, I haven't spoken because I didn't want to fill the space up, like I said to you earlier, with what it is. We had to just do nothing for such a long time. So we've been busy doing nothing. Well, all of the things that we did caught up with us, and we didn't put anything else in that box. And so um, you have got the right to review, the right to erasure, you have the right to be forgotten. You have the River Wye with its rights restored to flow freely and cleanly. You've got the rule of law restored in the House of Lords, incanted nearly verbatim, not quite. They did have some, what do they call it, poetic license on the writ that they'd been served with, which is the script that they had to speak. Otherwise, they would all disappear down the plug hole into the void using the CD vacante that we did on the hot seat. So if you sit in the seat and it says Prime Minister on it, it got given a new script on the 17th of July in the Gregorian calendar 2023, as you all know, about the universal injunction and the redefining of all of these words. So today, where do we start with this? Because today, let's start with yesterday. Yesterday, they encountered the rule of law as universal law inside the House of Parliament. That was televised on the BBC. They said that all people have been treated and in a specific way to be left uneducated, holding and leaving them susceptible then to ulterior programming that they haven't had installed in them with something that they have turned into something called citizenship rights and education. So then a specialist tutor now has to go into the schools. It has to be a specialist subject, and everybody, I think they said from the age of 5, has to be taught their rights. That's set out in the Distomer Reset program that defines what it is that is right. So we wrote the writ that unwrote all the wrongs that had been written in the December of 2023. No, actually, it was October 2023 that went in. That was the only thing that the police stole out of the house that they come and evicted us out of. We did get it back. And um, that's been in play now since the 17th of July. Where we took CPR because they'd taken CPR as 3 letters, and it meant civil prosecution rules and criminal prosecution rules, depending on the ambiguous way they wanted to apply it. And that was the way that the court was combined. So we had to take the whole legal system and have it uh, reviewed as whether it was lawful or not. And that's how we did the roar. So the royal family aren't allowed to live in Buckingham Palace. Thanks very much, you guys who went over there and secured it with restoration rights notice. Rolls Building is no more able to be used for capitalism commerce. While I was up in a court in some place that they call Leeds, uh, getting them to pick out words that they had been indoctrinated with through this magazine called JCS Matters, which I believe we're going to find Dijon's behind. You can all go and have a look at this. This is on Dijon's Peacekeepers website, kind of published and promoted to slander anybody off who identifies themselves as minister on the event. And they created a title called Freemen of the Land and tried to put us all in that box. And obviously, show me any land that's free on this land when you're all fucking doing this, I said to him. As they asked me before I'd even really opened my mouth, are you free man of the land? Funny you should say that. That's what I'm here about. So you better, this is what by you actually stating and asking me, freeman of the land, you have already now validated our evidence bundle that says that all you lot in here have been indoctrinated by somebody called Sion Jones, who's head of legal operations, allegedly, or was until now, who has written these magazines called JCS Matters that are then given to all the magistrates in this country. So you're already fucked before you get started, because every court case with a magistrate who has been under the jurisdiction of these chief justices or chief justice clerks, they are, direction, our cases have been biased the minute that you said universal law or Minister and Venn. You immediately were put in a definition of freeman of the land and show me any man that's free on this land when you're doing this. It's a complete moxioron. It's a moxioron. It's not even an oxymoron. It's like jumbled up. So they picked out that from the bundle that I showed them that I wanted data on, and they went and got me the T-girl to come to try to get me to go around in the Munchausen circle. And so I said, I want the data. I want to collate all the data in all these cases. It's in all these bundles that's got the MOR 2020-2020 prefix attached to it, or any reference that anybody's ever made in relation to universal law or Minister on the Van or used any of these email addresses. So she goes over, she looks at the bundle and she picks out one of them, one of the titles that they've gone and used to try to misidentify not just me, but all the people with as well. And so she came back and she went, that one's been concluded. Out of all of them, then, why are you telling me about that particular one? What is it about that particular one that you think is associated to me out of all of them, if you've not already been indoctrinated with that legal fiction title, which is misspelt, that is also in the JCS Matters, slandering and defaming people without any recourse, causing all court cases to have already been determined in bias. You've just done what I came here to do. She said, it's been concluded. I said, how completed? I said, how can something be completed when it was never initiated correctly? Boom shakalaka. Well, everything just kind of went a bit crazy in the background behind me. I'm standing at the counter, and some guy comes running out in a suit and goes running into the office. And that's when she comes back and she's bright red in the face. Oh no, they sprayed me. Suddenly my nose starts running right, and I just said to her, have you got a tissue? Which is quite funny because 009 says you've got an issue, get a fucking tissue. So they gave me, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I'm accepting a tissue off these people. And I blew my nose in it, and I was so sick for nearly 2-3 weeks. I don't know what was in it. Oh, it might have been psychosomatic. Anyway, don't want to give them the benefit of thinking that they caused me any harm, because they didn't. And just made us try a bit harder. So in the end, what's happened is data protection has gone in reverse, as it was anyway, since the Masons had to declare that they were Masons if they were police or whatever that happened at the December time, and or in the new year. And from there, obviously, all of it is unspiraled. So there's a document that's called the Weave, where all of these cases have been weaved together into a new, well, into our universal law platform structure, and that's the framework. So while I'm standing in the court, when I get out and I go and use my warranty card to exercise my right to convey myself freely, I open up the phone, and there is this actress in the role of the Chief Justice, a woman for the first time in 800 years, saying that as from October, all business and commerce is being evicted out of the Royal Courts of Justice and King's Bench. There's no more King's Bench division of business or chancery or any of that, which is what we did by putting the CPR rules into the jurisdiction of universal law, redefining it, and saying that if it is not compatible with universal law, which includes rule of law, then it's unlawful and you can't use it. And that was the roar, and it's done. So, because of that rather wonderful revelation, they have had to incant the rule of law and agree to uphold it and that it's universal inside the House of Lords yesterday. And then the data protection, the guy who is the chief of the ICO, and under his direction, all this was done. So, data protection, we're going to take your data and use it against you so that we can protect ourselves while we act like a bunch of pedophiles. And you're not going to be able to do anything about it because it's data protected. So they'd inverted, obviously, that. So while we were asking for this data, they're saying this AI is sending us emails saying, we need your name and address and date of birth and all the usual shit. And well, even if I give you that, I'll make something up for you, just the same way that the police did. And so here's the charge sheet in the end. We can't identify this. We know that you haven't issued any legal instrument whatsoever in any of these titles that the police have used. That's why when I say we want the data about it, it's nobody's rights that you're going to breach because there is no actual data for you to give me because it just simply doesn't exist. So, yeah, anyway, what's happened is everything's gone transparent. Open court, it's called open court listings. On there, you can see the names that they've used, what they've tried to lay the charges with. There's unknown defendants and charges on that site. And these floating charges that they haven't been able to get indemnified with those that were not attorneyed, they've tried to indemnify them against those who, under certain conditions and certain testing, they might change their behaviour, like little photons being shown through a double slit experiment, for example. Once they become observed that they are once they become conscious that they are being observed, they do something different. So today, what came out of the Royal Courts of Justice is a determination about something called a defeat box, a defeat device. So this defeat device is an amazing thing. It uses, and they can't take a decision really on whether this defeat device that has been implied to have been implanted into the brain of the onboard computer on your car so that it knows when it's going for an MOT. And so it behaves differently when it's got a thermometer stuck up its exhaust pipe than it does if it's on the road and it's going down the road. So what's really happened here is that we've proven through our conveyance check, safety checklist, that the MOT is a complete waste of space and time and paper because the minute that you've done the test, it's static, it's stationary, and it's not sitting and stalling and starting and stopping and going 300 miles around a clean air zone in order to get back home for tea a mile away. In heavy traffic, for example. So really what they're talking about is up until now, we were able to take forward these cases relating to claimants, hundreds of them, claiming against the corporations, the car manufacturers. And what we're saying is because of the definitions that you've used when you filed this claim 5 years ago, we can't make a judgment in the favor of the claimants because the definition has defeated us. We've been defeated by the definition. Call it something else that we can then use to activate and initiate a court against the corporations, such as false claim, because now we've restored the rule of law, we're not able to use these vague definitions. And the definitions the Universal Law Community Trust has defeated us using our own definitions, so we don't know our ass from our elbow. So we're waiting for somebody to write the next bit for us, and they haven't done that. They've been zero. So they're in a bit of a panic because they don't know the next bit yet. So they haven't practiced their scripts because it hasn't been written. So they've had to exemplify that if we were to call it something else, then they would, for example, like I say, misrepresentation, then we can prosecute them instead of prosecute. They can't prosecute a corporation anymore because corporations have got their own courts. So all of the business and commercial courts that have been evicted as of October from being able to be implied to be law by occupying the Royal Courts of Justice, and they've got their own courts set up venue, which is just simply for business and commercial, and never shall those two jurisdictions be ever combined again. So that's why I was waiting to talk to you until we'd got all of that. And then they've gone and murdered Anne Widdecombe, which is, I mean, there's thousands of people who would like to do that, I'm sure, after what it is that I'm not one of them because I don't agree with taking his life, obviously. But she was doing exactly that. She was an advocate for the death penalty, and she had shackled to the beds of the women who were giving birth borning their babies, in prison. She was the one who said that they should be shackled while that happened. So somebody who's 26, so at 6 minutes past 6, somebody who's 26 got arrested 10 years after Jo Cox got murdered, so that they can, set out their stall to say, the politicians are under threat and this is wrong and what we're going to do to these people if they do that. I think she couldn't stay in the public eye anyway. She was going to go to prison for a very long time. Now we restored the rule of law and the universal law into our community structure. And I'm going to go to the schools and I'm going to teach them phonetics. Because if you teach your children phonetics, then we wouldn't have anybody who's ADHD, we would not have any illiterate people. They're all allowed the restoration of the right to use your own Indigenous language in the courts. I don't know if you know about that. Did I tell you about
Mm, yes.
that? Yeah, so the court's got to get the interpreter now because they don't understand Kerno or Celt or Gaelic or I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, that's one of
She
my
didn't know
favorite
what
ones.
to say after that. Yeah.
And so, did you see where Erdogan, or whatever his flipping name is, from Turkey, presented the revolvers to the EU members of NATO?
Yeah, yeah, just it's it's hilarious what's
I mean, the
happening.
subliminal
It's,
messages in that. So here they come now. We've just
yeah,
done a deal.
exactly.
We've just done a
Yeah.
deal with Trumpy, and we've got some revolvers with your names on it because there wasn't an account that could pay for the bullet with a name on it, was there? So here you go. I'm going to give you the one. I'm going to give you a revolver and some bullets, and they've got your name on it. I mean, we're taken in a rather offensive way, but we won't imagine that it means go and shoot yourself in the head. We will imagine instead that it is to exemplify that here is a load of people who do not allow their citizens to bear arms, but they are the biggest warmongers and arms manufacturers in the world. But you can't even carry these through customs without getting it decommissioned. And one of them said, we'll have to put it in a museum. Well, great. That was the signal that war has been resigned to a museum. And so that there's a relic of it over there with somebody's name on it. And so that's the sign that I said that we would accept. That would be taken as a sweet, sweet surrender of their hypothesis. So we've exposed the land registry. There's something that they've got now because we smashed the Enclosure Act, the perverted,
Mm,
inverted corruption.
Mm.
the translators of that, have had to create something called a boundary alert because your neighbor can now say, "Oh, that bit's
Have you
mine," and draw a
have you heard
line
of
around it.
something? Have you heard of something called gorgement?
Gorge me?
Gorgement.
Like, oh
Go
yes, I've got
gorgement.
like I've swallowed you up and then gorged
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, you've used it somewhere as well, and
Yeah.
in Wonderful. Yeah. Um,
Are you trying
crazy,
to trick questions?
huh?
Are you trying to give me trick questions? Do you
Crazy.
know about
Just
do you
asking.
know about this? Maybe what you wrote about it. It don't mean anything. I don't half the
That way it
time
just
I
came
don't know
out.
what I'm writing. It just comes out of me.
No,
I'm like, wow.
no, no. Just
Where does
I know you
fuck did that
know,
come
but
from?
just
I don't
did
know.
like because I just got to know a little while ago. So
You mean
what's
do
up?
I remember?
Do you
Do you
better
remember?
better that?
No. I've got Alzheimer's. I've
Man,
been
no,
drinking
I
fucking
think I
tap
think
water.
I think uh, if Alzheimer's was ever a thing, I don't think you would be one to have it. So
What I forgot what my name
you'd
is.
be the other end of that spectrum.
What do you
But
mean? Are you trying to
even they have
incriminate me? I've forgotten what my name is. Don't ask me what my name is. I've got fucking got Alzheimer's.
who's asking what your
I've
name is?
got one of the Embers. I was
I'm not stupid.
no, I know. You would only be stupid if you asked me such a stupid question. I did wish you
Who am
hadn't.
I?
There was a
I'm
guy.
me. I'm
There was
me.
a guy walking along the river today, and it was a friend of one of the Embers. So he stopped to say hello, and he said,
Mm.
"I've heard all about you." I said, "Oh, really? Have you? I better keep walking." And so, especially if you've been reading JCS Matters, courtesy of JP Morgan's Muppet Parrot. Um, so he said, so what is your name? So I just said, so I just looked at the other end then, and she kind of rolled her eyes. And so I just said, why do people, I said, if you knew what that meant, I said, that we've been hypothesized about that question. I said, you would never ask it again. I said, so I'm going to ask you it and see how you like it. So I did the, what's your name? And so he claimed one. So I said, prove it. And off we went then. And you could see it was like, he's really intrigued and he wants to do some
Boing,
of the
oing,
steps.
oing, 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 oing.
Yeah. Yeah. He suddenly came alive right in front of me. It was amazing. Yeah. He went from being like an empty, he said to
Like a
me,
zombie. Yeah.
just hollow. Just you could see he was so preoccupied with whatever he'd got going on in his head. It turns out it's the dirty water, it's the bills, it's the ecosystem. It's so that's why he lives where he lives. And then I found out he works for Powys Council. So we're having a chat with him. So it's can't have somebody going around complaining about the state of affairs and then say I work for Powys Council. Why haven't you done something about it then?
Seriously, man. What are you there for? Do your fucking
Well,
job.
that's what and that is what we got on with. So employment law came in yesterday. So we've used the NDA the COCUST writings are relating to these redefining the definitions, inverting them all. The non-disclosure is where does it come from? You're presuming that we are all employees of your corporation, right? That's the
Yeah.
hypothesis. So then we'll use employment law to pull out employment law out of this pack of shit and have a look at the NDA. So I'm saying I'm under NDA. I've got another employee, and they've given me an NDA, so I can't disclose anything to you, as you know. So
Mhm.
okay, here comes them forcing us to breach our NDA by putting us into these conditions, and apparently the NDA said that we didn't know about, and their contract, that if you do find out about the terms and conditions that have been hypothesized about the birth certificate and all of this, then and you dare to speak about it, this is what we're going to do to you. We're going to prosecute you for whistleblowing it. So the guy who was the chief, this all was done in 2015 under his direction. He's the chief of the ICO, Information Commission Office, or he was until the end of, and then he got fired and exposed because now, if you sit in that seat, you have to tell the truth. All of the truth will come out about you. Do you still want to sit in the seat? And we weren't disclosing that, but now we've had to because there's no such thing as non-disclosure anymore. It's all transparent. So if you sit in that seat, all your good bits and your bad bits, everything's going to come out about you. Do you feel confident about claiming the role of the title Prime Minister? Because we've got a new definition of that. It's somebody who tells the truth. It's somebody who puts themselves out. It's somebody who goes and gets arrested and allows themselves to be used to restore the rights of the people of the Rock of Light. And if you can't step up to the plate and fit that meet that standard, then you can't sit there. So just have a go, sit there. Whoop! That's why we've had so many prime ministers. Whoop, 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 whoop. All their data is disclosed about them. Well, now it is. So this guy has then exemplified exactly how employment law and contracts and NDA is used. So this woman said he's raped her. There's 18 charges of rape because he's been raping us of our rights and misrepresenting. And then saying that she just it got out of hand and it was just a bit of fun and she took it the wrong way. Just the same as Trump story is over there. And then prosecuted this woman under contract law, under employment law, because she worked for him. And so it just shows you it's for blowing the whistle on him. So he used, like they did. This is our showcase, exemplified by these really crap actors. I have to say, they should have just put the videos out of us doing our do, and it would have been an epic. It would have been more epic than the Odysseus show that they pumped out by AI. And we could have shown them exactly what it does look like instead of these crummy acting that they're doing. So he's pulled out the NDA and said, you breached your NDA. I should be able to do this to you. I should be able to rape you of your rights and have sexual intercourse with you, penetrate you, and because you're my employee, you can't say anything or you'll lose your job. And not only will you lose your job, I'll prosecute you for breaching your NDA. So now it's all come out that any employers that were employing people were getting them to sign NDAs, but they were providing the independent legal advice for them to be advised. So our definition of a contract that I read out was obviously the mutual benefit, full disclosure. That's all been laid out. If you don't know what it is that you're, not just what you're signing, but the implications and the hypothesis and the effects of what it is, the potential effects of what it is that might happen because you did sign that and not disclosed to you at the beginning before you sign it, then don't sign it. You can't sign it, and you can't be asked to sign it. And so they're right in the middle now. This is the whole system going to collapse because they can't find a way through that.
Yeah,
That's the double knot.
yeah, it's stalled. It's
Well, I
on
can't
repeat.
be. Well, no, not
No,
now.
this is
It's been threaded
yeah.
together now, and it's come right into the middle. It's like a nucleus facing itself. So
No,
if
like
I'm
the amount of exposure, the amount of whistle blowing from within the corporation has either
well, if
it's
you
a
just got a
complete
box,
psyop
just imagine that
or
you've got a box. Just imagine you've got a
but
box, and it's got NDA on
mm,
top of it, right? And it's
yeah.
got everything that has been kept under non-disclosure. And
Hmm.
we get them to breach breach a definition of non-disclosure.
Hmm.
And one of the MFNs turns around and says, "Okay, I'll tell you this is who I am, and I use this legal
Hmm.
detail." And then they
Hmm.
forced him to breach his non-disclosure, and
Hmm.
away pops the lid on non-disclosure, and out comes
Hmm.
everything else. All we had to do, I told you, that's all we had to do, is get them to breach the non-disclosure. And voila,
Hmm.
you cannot put a lid back on it because the box is the contents of the box are out. And that's why it's like it is. And they're trying to do damage limitation to try to control the story and the narrative about what it actually means, as far as instead of just going and saying, look, which is what they're going to have to do in the end, because that bit, you can never get a job again, right? You can never be an employee of another organization again that asks you to sign a non-disclosure, because if the condition is that you have to have independent legal advice, but you can't pay for it, it's not the employee's liability to come to pay for the independent advice that they need in order for them to sign to get a job. It's the employer's liability. If you want to get somebody into contract, then you've got to provide the cost for the legal advice. But if the employer has paid, then the legal advice is not independent, is it? So that's the problem that they've got with their little commercial shit at the moment. Then the other bit is, if you go on to, is it DN News? It's some Deutsche News, .gr, and you can see last week that they have had, they've used non-fungible, whatever they're called,
Fungible
tokens, when
NFTs.
fungi, non-fungi tokens, so AI tokens, so cryptocurrency and all of that lot.
Yeah,
They've had to give it a
the
definition.
Genius Act.
Let me just finish what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that there's this, says the so they've said that they have had to give it a definition so they can take it into their jurisdiction and recognize it as a financial instrument. When you look at the
Hmm.
definition that they have in Greece, is in Hellas, in the definition that they've had to give it, the definition is any token that conveys the rights of one to another is recognized as a financial instrument. There's your rock, baby.
Oh, that's
They've
amazing.
kind of spread it.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's it. It's threaded through. There's the rock threaded all the way through all of this horrific hypothesis. The AI Palantir contracts with proven beyond all shadow of any doubt.
Countries are withdrawing apparently.
Pardon?
They're canceling the contracts apparently. That's the
Well,
news.
they've run out of people. They blamed. So you've got the judges blaming the lawyers,
think
the
I
lawyers
think
blaming the police.
France just pulled out of the contract with Palantir.
So you've
In
got
any
the
case,
judges blaming the lawyers blaming the police blaming the CPS. The CPS turned around and said, "Oh, how awful! Our AI system hasn't got any column for evidence in the database for magistrates." They blamed the AI for not having evidence, but you never had evidence near you long time before you had a fucking database recording the evidence that you never had a
yeah,
column for.
what's AI going to show when there was nothing to
There was
record?
no column.
Yeah,
There wasn't even a column to record it
exactly.
in.
There
That's
was
the
no
point,
record
right?
in the roles.
There wasn't any space for it. We didn't need it. So now they've got to have a judge. So now what happens is the judge has been given this. The judge has got vicarious liability that if these cases cannot be listed until they've reviewed them, which is what I said when they tried to kick Minister Mven out of Buominga Crown Court after we'd gone in there to arrest somebody whose wig wasn't big enough to cover up his dirty conscience, and pretending to be a judge, claiming to be a recorder. And then they said, you can't come back in here. I said, well, that idiot up there in the wig has just told me that I'm supposed to come back this time last year, which is why I was going to arrest him, because obviously he's clearly impersonating a judge. If he doesn't know that I can't do that unless I've got a teleporter. So if you point me in the direction of the teleporter, I'm more than happy to teleport myself back here this time last year. And so I contacted the CCC, the Criminal Review Commission, who were just a bunch of, well, it was an empty portal really, because you've got an indefinite prison sentence, you weren't getting out anyway. And we've fabricated all of the evidence against you because really you were a whistleblower and you wouldn't behave like a debt slave. So we've set you up and put you in the prison for years on an indefinite prison sentence using Public Order Act as an excuse to do it. So I said to them, I want a review on this now. They won't let me back in the court. So they said, we can't can't do a review now. You have to go through the court, and then you have to appeal the sentence. You have to get sentenced, and you have to be found guilty, get sentenced, then go for appeal, then come to us. And I said, why do I most certainly do not have to do that. So you need to get your shit in order, and you need to review these cases before they even get this far. And I said that out, and that's what has to happen now. The judge can't list a case. It's on his own head or her head, be it, if they do allow a case to be listed that hasn't met the criteria. So you can go on open courts data now and see all of this information about all of these titles and these charges that they've charged the people with. And right at the bottom, it says you have to bear in mind that all of this data is being publicly published publicly. Then you have to bear in mind that everybody is innocent until proven guilty at the bottom of it. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's job done.
Yeah, they just admitted it themselves.
Pardon?
That's great. They just admitted it themselves. They just noticed everyone about it then, if they wrote that. And they have.
Well, they had to go on TV and disclose everything um and every bit of every role that all of them have played. We've got the HSBC chief of, he was the head of real estate finance. He's now got to go and sit in the hot seat. If you can go and do what you did for these private corporations, you can sit there and undo it all for the people. And so he's
Mm.
been given a job or a role for, it's called the um, banking, it's the Community Housing Bank. And so all of the asset has got to explain how it is that these people need a bank, a housing bank. Why do they need to go and say they're homeless? Oh, well, HSBC committed fraud when they told you that they'd lent you something. I wonder how long he's going to sit there. Not very long. If I was somebody who gambled, I would have gambled on myself never to contract, and I would gamble that I'm going to give him maybe 18 months at the most. It depends what he does. Do you remember when I said to you about hanging on by their eyelashes? They're hanging on by their
Mm.
eyelashes. Well,
Mm.
that's Kemi Badenoch said that all they've got is a pair of eyelashes to hang on to and a black t-shirt in the form of Andy Burnham. We've had it all. We've had
They've been
all these.
secretly listening to us, by the way.
Well, they're not. I wrote this. Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. I'm sure they rang this guy up who was talking.
Everything's turning out like exact. I've been listening to renditions of, uh, well, perceptions of Dante from this one guy online, and yeah, pretty. But, uh, I guess Yale University, Shanghai, teaching Dante is pretty big, I think, in the perception that he has of what it means, the
Well, they've
Inferno
got a
and
new
the
name.
Purgatory and the Paradise part.
They've been given all these different.
It's at an end, like it's all done there. Like, we can
So
choose
the
to live
crown.
in paradise anytime, isn't it? If you can get there.
Did
Like
you know
it,
that
it,
Did you know that there's an organisation that they've created for themselves called BAM, and BAM is Brookfield Asset Management that is trying to buy out trying to buy out EasyJet for 5.5 billion, and then they changed it today to 5.7 because they couldn't go to get there. What they did is they split 5.5 billion, 5.5 billion, 5.5 billion, 5.5 billion into four parts and tried to get four of us to indemnify 5.5 billion. Three may have looked like they did, but because the other quarter didn't, they only got a third. They had to split the thing into threes instead in their hypothesis, so that everybody has to do a third of the sentence for misdemeanors, for example. Um, What it means is the 90 days that they were using, they can't use it anymore to bank their time, which is why they didn't know what time the England game was going to be kicking off. They've had more random bank holidays. Scotland got one, and they're saying that if England wins the football, then they'll have one on Monday. So it's because they haven't been able to bank their time because they haven't got anything in the bank to bank. They've just got big fat zero. So for all of you people out there who are still claiming to be Minister MFN, you need to stop and fucking think that we have and we did all of this for to dissolve a hierarchy system. Now, a minister only exists, spelt like that, in a hierarchy system. If you continue to use that, you are implying that you still consent or believe that there is a hierarchy system. And there's not. It has gone. We can't all be equal under the law, but have a hierarchy system with some 22 million numpties running around saying, hello, I'm Minister MFN. You're not Minister MFN anymore. You haven't been Minister MFN. There hasn't been any reason to have or use Minister MFN since, I would say, September 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, which is when we stripped ourselves of the title so that all other people could be stripped of their titles that were being used to protect them from making them immune. So you could only not be prosecuted by a judge as a minister because of the hierarchy mindset. And so by getting them to prosecute us as ministers, that destroyed the hierarchy presumption. There was none. The police are punching above their weight, or the prison guards are overruling the judge who says that you haven't got the right of use of the name, but the little guard can come and say, well, I'll let you use it to wash your knickers with. Go and fuck yourself. You can't override. You just overruled your own hierarchy, where you are now saying that you have got more. You've got the rights to be able to convey to me, and you're just a prison guard. There's something that the individual who's sitting there pretending to preside over you and who is further up your hierarchy system that you're supposed to be under the orders of has said that I haven't got the rights of use of that title because it doesn't fucking exist. So Minister MFN is now, as all other legal fictions, it was a title that was used to protect you while you moved through this system to whatever degree that you went to. But the minute that you carry on using Minister MFN now, and it counts for zero because you're all equal. That's why there's no MOT. That's why we've destroyed the driving license hypothesis. That even when you've got a driving license, I go past them every day, this driving license issuing place, testing station, and shout through the window, what's the fucking point in going and doing your test when they say, even when you get a driving license, they tell you that you faked it. That's from their own mouths, that it's a fake. Well, you created it. I agree, it is a fake. And so you want,
Definitely. Though.
that's why I haven't fucking got one.
Yeah, we
So,
had 1549 do that as well. He just gave them the warranty card and he was like, why don't you charge it on this and it'll get discharged immediately.
so
So,
that's the bit that we need to get to, right? So as somebody who comprehends what their rights are, they also know how to deal with any hypothesis of a commercial system. There's an account and it's got a column in it and it says charge and discharge, but we're not accepting that. I do not comprehend that there should be anything. There's only charge when it's reverse charges, and I haven't got any money or whatever, and I stand there in the middle of nowhere, and I pick up the phone and I say, "Can I reverse charges, please?" And I can only do that if somebody at the other end actually wants to speak to me. If they say we've got a call and this is who it is, and they say no, that's it. It's their consent whether they speak to you or not, isn't it?
mm,
And so
that's also
it,
what he said. Like, how are you speaking to me right now? Same thing, yeah.
Who was?
1549. He got stopped by a traffic cop. So that exemplification happened there.
It's amazing. Universe,
Yeah, he just said
universe of
no,
law
and
has
that's it.
just stepped up to give us all of these uh, amazing exemplifications to be able to restore what it is that we said that we came here to do. And lo and behold, here we are. So I've I've set my stall out. I want Angela Rayner to sit in the chair because the truth's come out about her already. She's been thoroughly reviewed, and they tried to put an investigation on her for avoiding tax. But when you're
Mm.
a minister, see, she had a house, and so when you're a minister, that's what we said. All of your overheads are covered. Do this job, and all of your implied expenses that exist. So, but then that house, they said it became her second house, but it can't be her second house because she could have lost a job the next day, and it would have been her first house that she went to. So well, I don't agree with what it is they've done to her. And so I think she's out of all of them. I don't want to go and do it, that's for sure. I want to go and teach phonetics. I think I've already done that. Maybe. I'd like to grow some tomatoes, but it really is difficult. And people going around and killing them. So, what do you think about them going in these stadiums and getting everybody chanting and all of this? Like, did you hear the story about where they found the gold at an altar in these churches? And so it's out of these churches are falling down, 13th century, St. Winifred's, blah, 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 haven't got the money.
Mm.
And oh, we found these gold coins at the altar. Yes, no, the story is that that is your God, your Gold Island Drugs God that you've been praying to at the altar, and you lot believe that you need gold or gold coins or slave tokens to fix the roof on your sacred space. Well, you deserve not to have one then. Where is all the community that we want the bloody things to fall down because of what you've been using it for and pedophiling on the children in them? We're not going to restore that. And if you need gold to restore your roof, then it says a lot about the community, doesn't it? Why aren't they up there putting the roof on for you?
Mm.
Because they don't like what you do there. So getting all of these really, I must say they've been quite creative in the way that they've come up with these cover stories. So we've got the the fake death.
Yeah, it's going out of
Do you
control.
hear about the woman who's dead in bed in Bedford? Woman with
So,
three children,
oh,
dead in bed. No, it's a cover story. Dead in bed
yeah, 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 but, oh,
in in Car- in a street called Carnoustie. When you have a look at Carnoustie, it means stone, rock, or fort, and Usted means it's done. So, he turns out works for KCPMG, something that one of the four, you know, Waterhouse Cooper and
mm,
these big um, asset management companies and things like
yeah,
that.
the consultancy. Yeah, yeah.
There's four of them, and she
Mm.
was head of one of them. And so this is the story where, in other words, we've killed off commerce and we've killed off the people who were the main beneficiaries of this persecution of the rest of us for profit. Um, and so there's loads of it. I just don't know where to begin with you.
No, it's
Oh,
just
I did.
it's everywhere. It's whatever you talk about is just uh, like if you talk about Elon, the trillionaire, the fake trillionaire. It's it's crazy.
I don't know who you're talking
Really.
about. We've got so going on with this story, right? So
No, the stable coin. Yeah.
Bedford is a dormitory town, so it's a sleeping town. It was a former police burg, and it goes then into Gaelic. Ein Mian Ealti Agapi, which is Alba. So
Agape
it's
means love. Right?
yeah, and Alba is love then in Gaelic,
Mm.
and Alba is this bit of the rock that it was called that before it got called Scotland and
Mm.
England and Ireland and Wales. So it teaches you it leads then into this great barn of Ostag, which is in the Isle of Skye, which is the only place that teach Gaelic as public education. And it's called Sabal Mor, MOR, Ministry of Remedy. They teach sociolinguistics, and then that leads you into voice recognition. That then leads you into spoken corpus, speech corpus, deadling speaking. That's where they use your voice for identifying you with. They've got a bit of a problem at the moment because they haven't got, they're working with a non-native speech database. So what they did is they did these tests to see, was it really the same person, the same mouth doing the same talking, disguising their voice, right?
Okay.
So there was, yeah, that's right, mad.
This is
Polyglot,
interesting.
polyglot secretly performing two or more voices or personas known as guises. It's called matched guise. So they trying to make out that so the uncode is a codified language, and it then takes you into the body of language, and um, there's a study being done to see whether anybody can comprehend or make out the difference. If I say, "Hello, I was, what's your name? Blah blah blah, legal fiction, and I'm assigning my consent for you to speak to Minister O'Men." Hello, I'm Minister O'Men. You remember that? Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that is. And then they had to work out, was it really the same somebody doing two or three different voices? Or was it actually two different voices, two different beings speaking? Um, so I thought and that all that's all led from that woman's story, dead in bed with three children in Bedfordshire, which is what you might have to do if you were, sorry, two children, which is something that you might have to do if you were trying to imply that somebody had died so that you could discharge some massive charges through their title because they can't use the ones that they wanted to, that they'd gambled on. That So they gambled that we would use these titles in the end by putting us under these test conditions, and they lost. I'm so happy to say. And truth is won, and raw is done, and now we can go and I don't know what we can be now. Huh? Did you see the scaffolding at the White House? They had to put scaffolding up because the keystone that they'd stolen from Greece had to go back had to give the rock back that they'd taken. And so the scaffolding had been up for quite some time at the Parthenon because they'd taken the keystones and that's been restored now and the scaffolding's down. They got their rock back. Yeah,
Nice.
that's what we're promised to do. And so you can stop recording now if you like.
Mm.
Hello.